Hello and welcome everybody to the Unexpected Wrestling Podcast. Appreciate each and every one of you being here. Missy Kaboom, first one in. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Why didn't I just hear that? Why did I not hear that? Oh, here we go. Hold on. Let's see it. There we go. Missy, thank you for stopping in. We got a fun show planned for you today. Let me just open up something on my desktop here. Fun show planned for you today. We are going to be talking about a lot of wrestling, and my friend over here, Mr. Chonk, it looks like he's muted right now. You're gonna have to unmute yourself, buddy.
I
oh
am
no,
here.
you're okay. It said it had the little mute icon on your screen for some reason.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh no, you can interrupt me anytime. This is your show too.
Okay.
Your show too. Toot
Yeah.
toot.
Yeah.
Missy Kaboom. What the hell does toot toot mean?
Yeah, toot McScoot. Let's just say the show is going to be quite fun-sized.
Oh, okay. All right. Fun size as in Snicker bars, that is, right? anyways. So, Mr. Chunk, how has your day been today? Has it been good? Are you prepared for WWE Raw on Netflix starting tomorrow?
I absolutely am, and I have to say that I was a little concerned about a month ago in terms of the buffering issues.
Yeah.
Especially after the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that was kind of
whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
And then for those of you who watch the NFL games Christmas Day, I would say Netflix corrected their issues.
See, now, I don't know if like the buffering stuff for that boxing match was a Netflix issue or if it was whoever the providers of the boxing match was.
Well, I have a little insider knowledge.
Yeah.
I cannot 100% confirm this. My understanding is they learned from their mistakes with the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson situation.
Yeah.
And they partnered with the MLB network. And the MLB network has been known for their consistency in streaming live sports, notably baseball games.
Yeah.
And I think they partnered with MLB for their technology in order to reach the masses and not have these buffering issues.
And I mean, they're also working with WWE, who's been. How long have they been doing streaming now? Like the WWE Network that launched in 2013 or 2014. I think they've been kind of doing pay-per-views and stuff live streamed for quite a long time now. So I think they are kind of a good resource also. This is going to be difficult for me to make sure everything is opened up in chat here. Okay. I just want to make sure I see everything at one time, and it's quite difficult to do, even though I have such a large computer screen. Okay, so to get into the wrestling discussion first, I wanted to have a discussion about this pile driver debate that's been going on online for the past like 2 weeks now. I don't really have anything of reference to show on the screen, but pretty much the debate is this. So in WWE as of recently, when pretty much, let's start from the beginning. The pile driver in WWE is a banned move. If you do the pile driver, it usually will end the match immediately or somebody gets seriously hurt.
With one exception.
Which one?
Undertaker.
Yes,
I think
that's what I was going to get into because it
gets the free pass.
It's a little inconsistent because like the Undertaker's finishing move was the Tombstone pile driver. Hippo in the house. Thank you for coming in.
But notice he's not on TV every week, so obviously he gets the free pass.
Yeah, they made the exception for the Undertaker.
Yeah,
but it seemed like almost anybody else isn't able to do it. But then every once in a while, somebody will do it. Usually, it's in like a no DQ match, and they'll do it. And they sell the move as if it's a pretty devastating move. In theory, it should be. You're landing directly on your head, and your body is pretty much all the weight of your body is going on your neck. That should be a pretty devastating move. And WWE, they sell it. In my opinion, they sell it correctly. When the pile driver happens, they call the medics to the ring. A lot of times, somebody will be brought out on a stretcher. They act like it's a very, very serious injury. Flash forward to AEW, and people do pile drivers as just like a regular move, and they kick out of it. Sometimes they get right back up from it. We'll see somebody get pile driver on the steps, and then they get back in the ring, they jump off the top rope. I think the biggest part of the debate is the inconsistency there, which is kind of weird because it's two different companies. But when they're both in the wrestling scope of things, there should be some like unwritten rules. You know what I mean? Kind of like unwritten rules where you don't take somebody else's finishing move, even though AEW does that also. Almost everybody in AEW does what they call a cutter, which is in reality an RKO, which in reality is a diamond cutter, depending on how you look at it. That's a whole other debate. The super kick is pretty much like an ineffective move. When back in the '90s, that move was a finishing move.
Yes,
And
but even WWE ruined that with the Usos.
yeah, they
right?
kind of like it's not a protected finisher anymore. Well, it's not even a
Not much.
finisher anymore.
Not much is anymore. Very little.
Yeah. So
You even see the Stone Cold Stunner being done in AEW. Obviously, not being called that exactly.
Yeah, you don't.
It's
really
not as
see
often,
that.
but I've seen it a handful of times.
Yeah, then Kevin Owens, I think he has the blessing to use the stunner. They still call it the stunner. They don't call it the Stone Cold Stunner. They'll call it a stunner. And I think
Well, it's only Stone Cold Stunner if you flip on your head 3 or 4 times, like Vince McMahon. That's the only way. You got to oversell it to be a Stone Cold Stunner.
But pretty much the debate online has been: is it right? Like, is it ridiculous that one promotion kind of doesn't sell a move that the other promotion does to an extreme? And kind of the way that I look at it, and maybe this is just a smart ass kind of way of looking at it, is I think in the end it makes AEW look bad. Because if in WWE somebody does a pile driver and the person receiving the pile driver is incapacitated, but then in somebody in AEW does a pile driver and the person gets back up and starts doing a fucking dance, that's, to me, like, not thinking inside the box, not thinking in reality. To me, that says that somebody in AEW isn't doing the move correctly, they're ineffective with it, and it's not hurting their opponent. When in WWE, it is hurting their opponent. When you're thinking inside the box and not, thinking that wrestling is fake and blah, 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 the normal narrative.
Yes.
So I think it does more harm than good for AEW, because I'm sure they look at it as, oh, Lord, our guys are superheroes. They get up from moves that WWE people can't. I don't really see it
is
that
different.
way.
It's funny you mentioned this because I thought about this the last weekend more than just pile drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So AEW's focus, I think, is on the action, right? And you could argue that their action is heavily choreographed, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But you're going to AEW, to me, you're going there to watch like Demolition Derby, right?
Yes.
And there's nothing necessarily bad about that. I think there's a certain market, a certain type of fan base that wants to go see that. They want to see a complete train wreck, and I don't mean train wreck in terms of quality. They want to see a train wreck in terms of almost ECW-esque violence, moveset, the supposed damage it does to somebody, or and sometimes the exact opposite of that, that's superhero-esque of you think it's going to be a big move, and then the other person doesn't sell it, almost intentionally, right? To say, oh, that person is almost superhuman, and then they make the comeback in the match. So I think AEW has a different focus, and then WWE, I think they used to do that when they had to compete for eyeballs in the Attitude Era and even the early '90s. I think a lot of these moves that had the gravitas that they have today didn't back then. But WWE is a different organization now. I think that they're trying to strike the balance between they want to have action and they want to tell a story. And they want both to work together. And you will see segments by WWE that are saying, well, the action is less important and the story is more important.
Long-term story.
And then you'll see some segments where it's the reverse of that.
Yeah.
But I think they're trying to strike a balance on a number of levels, right? I think one is for the most obvious, physically protect their talent, right? It's great to go see an AEW match and it looks like a train wreck, but the downside of that is what's the risk to their talent physically, right? At some point, that talent AEW, they might get injured, right? On a live show, right? And WWE is going to try to prevent that as much as possible. Yes, accidents happen. And in the realm of concussions, right? WWE is very sensitive to that, and they're sensitive to how that impacts the public, right? And how they feel about moves to the head, right? Chair shots to the head, and things like pile drivers that are intended to hurt the head and neck area primarily. That's at least my take on it.
Yeah. So pretty much, like you said, AEW isn't looking at like the big picture with something like that. They are kind of looking at what can we do. They work off of crowd reaction. They want the crowd to say "Holy shit!"
Yes,
and
it's very
they don't
reminiscent
care how
of
they get it.
Yeah, they want ECW vibes, right?
Yeah.
So they both want shock value. Both sides want shock value. It's how they get there. And AEW's shock value is the move or the
do whatever they
to
can
the
in
move.
a single match. Don't worry about long-term storytelling. Don't worry about making a move look ineffective. As long as a crowd is going nuts when somebody stands up after some big move, they don't care. And then the next week they'll do the same thing again. WWE, they look at the big picture. They don't want somebody kicking out of a pile driver when a couple months from now they're going to sell that as if it's a devastating move. They try to protect their moves. They protect their talent. And they've been in the game too long. They know that in order to tell a long-term story, they can't shit on certain moves today. They have to build it up. They have to build a reputation behind it, and then it becomes an effective move that later on down the road will get a big reaction when somebody kicks out of it or somebody counters it or something like that. They think of the big picture all the time.
Right.
All the time.
Keep in mind, we're also the same people. At 25 years ago, we watched ECW.
Yeah.
And we thought that was the best thing since sliced bread, or at least I did. I got sucked into that, right? So I'm watching it for the blood and the guts and the violence.
The crazy stuff.
Yes, but I can tell you right now, I'm much older and maybe marginally wiser than I was 25 years ago. And if ECW was a new product now, I don't know if it would match my taste.
Yeah, see, I liked ECW.
You know what I mean? Like...
yeah, I liked ECW, but I was never blind to the fact that WWE was a superior brand. And today, we have people trying to argue that AEW is a superior brand when it's an alternative and you might enjoy watching it. But to say that it's superior over WWE, like, that's just nonsensical to me. That's like, you're not looking at something the right way if you're saying...
I don't think they've thought about the wider picture.
Yeah.
Or maybe they have and they don't have a game plan yet. And it's not to say they couldn't get there, but I think they have a long road ahead.
Or maybe maybe these people just don't like wrestling. Maybe they just like the violence and the craziness of AEW, and they don't like the art of real
15-year-old me would have watched this and maybe just maybe would have appreciated AEW potentially a little bit more than WWE.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Yeah.
But then look at WWE's content from 25 years ago too, right? They were kind of like AEW in some cases, right? They were having the violent matches just for the sake of violence.
Themselves to make themselves different from their competition, and then when they kind of absorbed their competition, they went back to the way that they wanted to do things, which is kind of where they're at now. They're in like a transitioning period. Well, now they're definitely in a transitioning period because they have new management and everything. And I think,
but I like that they have balance, right? Like when we were teenagers, we were obsessed with just, the foul language and the violence and the brutality of it all. Yeah. But now that we're a little older and we have better appreciation for the product, or at least I do from back then, I don't expect that every week. I don't expect
it's more about the storytelling now.
Yes. I like to see it once in a while. I treat it like a special treat, right? It's like, okay, do that a handful of times a year, not every week. Yeah. Right?
Certain occasions, it has that shock value. In the end, you'll get a bigger reaction when it happens one time in like a really good feud rather than every single week. When you do it every week, then you're expecting it all the time, and then it's like, it's just kind of whatever.
It gets boring, and especially in today's society, the generation after us, has the attention span of like a goldfish.
Yes.
So being repetitive is not going to do anyone any favors, right? You have to have fresh content and fresh perspectives and a mixture of different types of characters, of different types of storyline, different types of matches.
You can't
to stay relevant,
yeah,
and market to different types of crowds. You have the children, you have the adults, you have even women watching it, right?
You can't just
probably
book
more
the
so than there was
shows
20 years ago
on like a week-to-week basis anymore. You have to think in the future. And speaking of thinking into the future, just yesterday I think I read a report that the WWE Royal Rumble is going to be moving to Saudi Arabia next year. I don't really. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing. I know that there's a lot of people speaking negatively about it, especially about like the women being involved in the Royal Rumble, which I don't really understand that argument because they have like the Saudi deal's been interesting. At the beginning of this like 10-year deal that they had, they weren't allowing women on shows at all. They were not allowing any women matches, any women on the production staff or anything at those shows. And slowly, they started with allowing a woman commentator, Renee. I forget what her name was in WWE. Burkett. Yeah, they let her do commentary. Then eventually, they started letting like female managers be on the shows, and now they're letting them wrestle, but they have to be in fully clothed sweat outfits, pretty much. And that's just their beliefs and their culture there, and I think like to a point WWE does have to abide by that, but it is progress that they're allowing women to have matches now, and I think it would be a very positive thing if they had a women's Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. It's a very positive thing for WWE because they're probably making a boatload of money doing that, even though the Royal Rumble would make a boatload of money in the States too, but Saudi, it's a much bigger pot to pick from there. I like it's a little disappointing that we're not getting it in the States, but it's not going to be a deal breaker for me if they have it in Saudi Arabia. The only thing that I'll have an issue with is how it starts so early. But maybe it's a good thing. Maybe they could fit more on the card starting it earlier than 7 o'clock at night or whatever.
I don't necessarily have an issue with it either. I think where a lot of other people might have some concern is in the political landscape. And I know that with WWE, they've always blurred the lines at a political level, right? Yeah. Sometimes intentionally and sometimes unintentionally. And the way I watch WWE is I try to separate myself from that.
Yeah.
Has WWE made some questionable political decisions?
Of course.
Yeah, they have. And I'll tell you what, a lot of major sports organizations have as well. There has been no major sports organization that has been 100% completely above board, right? No one's exempt, right? And it doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here and protest and say, well, because of the political landscape out there, I'm going to turn my back on WWE and won't watch them. I can separate myself from that. Now, in the same breath, I'm not saying I applaud the deal with Saudi Arabia. I just don't have an opinion on that because I'm watching it for the product. They could have had this in any other international country, and I'd enjoy it just the same.
Yeah. I think my opinion would be different if I didn't see any progress. Like if they were still going in the 2025 or 2026 next year, and they still weren't allowing women on the shows.
I would.
If I didn't see any progress, then I'd be like, "What the heck is WWE doing? Why are they still in this deal?" I would call it a wash. But the thing is, we have seen progress. WWE's relationship with Saudi Arabia has been good, in my opinion. It has been good money-wise. It has been good for their culture. WWE has been a very positive force in Saudi Arabia. I don't see negatives other than the media backlash about them working with the Saudi government, and they call it blood money or whatever.
And I don't think WWE is blind to that. Like, after the Saudi Arabia deal runs its course, I would imagine that they might go after other international territories. They might decide to partner with India. And India is going to have certain regulations, certain cultural expectations, right? They're going to be involved in some political landscape in some fashion, right? And some people are going to be okay with that, and others may question that, right?
WWE wants to be worldwide. They want to be everywhere.
Exactly. And they're going to go there for the market. They already do world tours in India, right? And I'm just using that as an example. There could be in Japan, right?
How do you think? What do you think the internet would do if WWE tried to work with North Korea? What do you think would happen?
I don't know, but I mean, Dennis Rodman had some kind of strange relationship with North Korea. If he could make that work, why couldn't WWE make that work? Right?
I think if the money was right, WWE would go there. They would.
As long as WWE distances themselves from the politics of it and doesn't get involved in either side and try to run advertisements or do any publicity based on that, right? Their job is to make money and entertain the fans, regardless of location, right? Yes. Do the fans in Saudi Arabia, don't they deserve to be entertained? Right?
Yeah.
I would think that they deserve to be entertained. They may have no involvement in the political landscape of Saudi Arabia. That's probably way above what they do, and that's at the governmental level. So, they're fans just like the rest of us.
Yes.
They should be able to appreciate and enjoy the product just like we do.
Yes, I totally agree. And going into that, would you like to go into let's start recapping one of the weekly shows. We got WWE Raw from last week. Not WWE on Netflix yet. The Raw before Netflix.
We got one more day for that.
Yeah, but we had 3 hours of Raw, and I have to admit, it felt kind of good. It felt right to be at 3 hours. I thought at first it was going to be a little weird to go to 3 hours again, but it felt right to be at 3 hours. Now, what was weird was having SmackDown at 3 hours. That was a little odd. I'm not used to staying up till 11 watching SmackDown on a Friday night. But Raw being 3 hours just felt natural to me. Even though we've only been doing that for a while.
Raw was only 2. Raw was 2. SmackDown
No,
was 3.
This past Raw was 3 hours.
For some reason, I felt like it was only 2. I don't know why I'm confusing myself. Because it was still on USA. It was not in the new year. The contract with the 12/31.
I thought they went to 3 hours.
No, that was only SmackDown. I'm pretty sure that was only SmackDown. That Raw wasn't because it was still in USA.
I must be confused. Maybe I got confused with SmackDown going to 3. I thought that Raw was
SmackDown. Yes, definitely 3 hours. Absolutely. I believe
you
Raw
can tell
was
I'm getting old when I forget things like that.
I
turned
wrong,
42 on Tuesday. No, you're probably right, dude.
I'm going through the matches. I listed out every match and segment, and this is how nerdy I get with the product.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since they've been Raw 2 hours, 4 matches. 4 matches, right?
Yeah, because they got to fit in.
They intersplice segments in between, but 4 matches. 2 at the 8 o'clock hour, 2 at the 9
says
o'clock
Raw should also be 3 hours on Netflix. I think they officially announced that Raw will be 3 hours on Netflix. So I got a little ahead of myself and thought that Raw was 3 hours this week when I must have got mixed up with SmackDown. So
what'll be interesting is whether Raw becomes exactly 3 hours on Netflix, right? They don't have to deal with a cable provider. They might go a little under.
I think they might do like the 15-minute overrun, but I think they're gonna be pretty much sticking to how they've been doing things. Why change the whole wheel if they don't have to? Yeah, you're right. They don't have to be exact.
5 minutes under, 5 minutes over, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be under. I don't think they'll do that.
No, I have to agree. I'm just using that as an example. They don't have to be exact.
Yeah.
Is basically the point.
All right, so what we were dealing with on Raw, we had... What was the main event here? Okay, the main event segment was the CM Punk Seth Rollins thing.
Yes.
100%, definitely. Yes. We also had the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship Tournament semifinals. Now, are you in the know of when this tournament ends? Because I don't think it doesn't end on Monday, does it? Does it end tomorrow?
I don't believe it does.
Because they didn't really say like when the finals are going to be for that tournament.
Yeah, I'm not aware that it's on Monday, and if I had to take a guess of when I think it will be,
if it's not going to be Monday, I'd say the Royal Rumble.
No,
but then that takes away
Saturday night main event.
Oh, you
There's
know
a
what?
Saturday main event.
You're
That's
right.
the 25th.
That's like right before the Rumble.
And not to digress too much, the last Saturday night main event they did in December.
Yeah,
it was good action, but nothing shocking happened. Right? It felt a little predictable to me. It was worth watching, but nothing surprising really happened.
We saw the women's U.S. champion Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
I thought the main event was good. It kind of had a cliffhanger there. Although a lot of the cliffhanger happened after the show.
That's what I mean. Yeah, after it went off the air.
So
that was a little bit disappointing to me. It's like, why not put that on the main show?
Yeah.
So, but I hope with this next Saturday night main event, especially being so close to Royal Rumble, that it's telling me that maybe Royal Rumble, they can't fit everything into that. And that maybe instead of having a pre-show, right? And then we look at pre-shows like that's the C team, those are the D-list players and nobody watches it. Saturday night main event seems to be, hey, this is prime content. I don't want to say premium, but it's prime content. And maybe that'll be an opportunity for segments and matches that would normally not fit on the Royal Rumble card.
Yeah.
I hope. I could be totally wrong.
I agree with
but
you.
I would hope that they would not just make Saturday Night Main Event be like rehashing of other matches with no either storyline progression or something shocking during the show. And I think it's a perfect opportunity for the semifinal, the final match for the women's Intercontinental.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there because
conclusion.
They didn't announce it for Raw. I don't see them doing it at the Royal Rumble because then that would eliminate 2 women that could potentially be in the Rumble match. So I don't think they do that. So I think you're right. I think they will do that on Saturday night's main event. Maybe they haven't formally announced it yet, but I think you're on the right track with that one. So I did take a couple notes on Raw here. And I'll go through a few things. I don't want to be like reading a monologue here or anything. The one thing I noticed immediately while watching Raw, though, is that the crowd was very energized, especially at the beginning.
I noticed
it was a sold-out crowd.
Almost every match they were into it. Almost every match.
One thing I normally don't like is when we start with like talking segments on the shows or backstage segments. So I did kind of try to pay attention to how the segment with the New Day was going, and the crowd had a lot of heat on the New Day. It's very
more
surprising.
Than Dominic Mysterio. I'm telling you, this is.
I don't know if it's more, but I was gonna compare it to Dominic Mysterio, kind of on the same level. Dominic, I think, is their biggest, not biggest heel, but the biggest in getting crowd heat. I don't think there's anybody that surpasses him. I think the New Day's getting there, though. The New Day's getting there.
I thought they were kind of on the same level, if not just a hair more. The only thing I'm nervous about is the payoff. Like, heat for heat's sake with no payoff annoys me, and I'll give you an example of this. Mm-hmm. This is going back about, 7-8 years ago.
Okay.
Do you remember it was an episode, was it Raw or SmackDown? And I think it was Kevin Owens and Elias, if I remember correctly.
Yep, right after WrestleMania 35.
And they made fun of the Seattle Supersonics, which are no longer a team in Seattle. Mm-hmm. And they got a shit ton of heat, if you remember that segment.
I think
It was like 3 or 5 minutes of just constant booing. And I'm not from Seattle, so I'm not trying to understand that why the fans disliked it so much when they make fun of sports teams in every city, practically.
Yeah, well, some cities are more passionate than others. And, if they just came off of a very frustrating loss or something, that's been...
Well, it's no longer a team. They didn't have a team anymore. The team moved.
That's been in WWE's playbook for a long time. That's the cheap heat. It's almost like the Mick Foley heat. You like mess with the town's football team or basketball team. The Rock used to do that all the time too.
I'm just a little worried with the New Day that I don't want it to fizzle out and be cheap.
Yeah, it's like kind of what's going to be the payoff here, and the payoff.
Is it Big E?
That's what you would hope. You would hope it'd be Big E returning and getting some sort of revenge for them embarrassing him.
What would you do if WWE went out of left field and Big E comes back and just joins them, and they all go back to original heel New Day? And for those of you that don't remember this, New Day was originally a heel tag team.
Yes, they started out
before.
Before the fans pretty much the fans decided they didn't want them to be a heel. They wanted to cheer them, and that's kind of what happened. They started cheering.
The heel persona they originally had was a little bit boring. I don't think it was as good as what they have now.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that transition happened, but eventually, I think a lot of it had to do with when they brought the trombone out. And the fans just really liked how ridiculous that was, and there were signs for the trombone and everything. Honestly, I don't really have a prediction at where the New Day stuff is going. Obviously, they're working on being a heel team now. They got a lot of heat with the audience, but what is their goal here? What are they trying to accomplish? Are they going for the tag team titles? I guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see if the whole thing with Big E is going to play out, or if he really is injured to the point where he's not going to be able to be in the ring physically anymore. That'd be a shame.
I think another thing too that leads to their heat, and this is just my opinion on it. I think Rey Mysterio is a national treasure in WWE.
Yes.
And anyone who basically counteracts Rey Mysterio is automatically hated by fans. Hence Dominic Mysterio.
Yes.
Hence the segment on Monday where basically, they were trying to really give it to Rey Mysterio, and he was having none of it, and the fans responded in kind.
Yeah. That's something I want to see someday, before Rey Mysterio retires.
Oh, a heel turn?
Yes, I want to see a heel Rey Mysterio. They did it in WCW with... What the hell was that group called? That's a long time ago. He didn't have his mask on. He was in... What the heck was that group called? The Filthy Animals or something like that.
Yes.
But he was a heel. They need to do that again. Have him join fucking Karrion Kross or something. Something. Like, they need to... I want to see a heel run from Rey Mysterio. One time, at least. Just have him come out in the suit, still wearing the mask and everything.
Yeah.
I'd love to see
Maybe Louis Vuitton could sponsor it, right? Doesn't he wear all their stuff?
Yeah, like when he goes to the Hall of Fame and stuff, you always see him in suits like that. Always wearing.
Yeah, when he comes out, not in his gear, or sometimes in his gear, he'll have like Louis Vuitton logo. I can tell that either he just pays for it or they're sponsoring whatever the heck he's wearing.
He might be just paying for it, dude. The next thing on my notes here is I kind of went in on American Made a little bit. Now, I think Chad Gable looks the best that he's ever looked in his career in WWE so far. He literally looks like, I wouldn't say a little Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle wasn't that tall. He looks like the offspring of Kurt Angle. When I saw him on Monday, he looked totally jacked up. He looked like Kurt Angle. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, though. You don't want to replicate your entire arsenal after another wrestler. You'll fall into the Dolph Ziggler effect, where they're going to just think that he's cosplaying as Shawn Michaels. We don't want Chad Gable to look like he's cosplaying as Kurt Angle, but I think he looked great.
Pay attention to the chants. The fans chant like they used to chant for Kurt Angle, saying "you suck." Even the theme music. Have you paid attention to the theme music?
Yes, of course.
The theme music is a mashup, in my opinion, of Kurt Angle and Bobby Lashley, and they combined it. Yeah. And that's the American-made entrance music. But,
I'm talking about just Chad Gable. The one note that I made was American-Made is missing something when they cut that promo backstage. Chad Gable looked great. The other three, I'm not sure. Like, I like the Creed brothers' work in the ring. They need to work on the promos. And,
I agree.
What's her name? The chick that's with them. I forget her name for some reason.
Ivy Nile.
She's missing something entirely. She looks like she's in great shape, From what I saw with her in the ring, she does fine, but it looks like maybe she's uncomfortable being on camera or something. It doesn't. She doesn't give me like a superstar feel.
I have to agree with you. I think she can get there. I think that they
Yeah,
have to let them speak more.
yeah,
Or maybe they have to go back to I don't mean this the wrong way, but like, you know, once in a great while, Chad Gable joins them in NXT to like invade
yeah,
NXT for a match, right?
yeah,
And let them get their promo skills there, so they feel more comfortable if they're afraid of like the big time lights in Raw or
yeah.
SmackDown.
That's a thing that happens in WWE sometimes, and it's unfortunate. But there's like one person that stands out that's above the other people in the team that they're in, and right now I get that feeling that Chad Gable is a little bit above the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile, and they're just kind of, it's almost like American Alpha all over again. We don't
Yeah,
need another American Alpha with Chad Gable.
If that happens, if that keeps happening, then when they want to break them up, they're lost.
It's
in
gonna
the shuffle.
it's gonna be like the same. It's gonna be the same storyline again. Like Chad Gable, they're gonna get tired of him.
Even though they've tried to put Otis in the spotlight a little bit, he can't really cut a promo. So the only reason Otis is in a spotlight is because of his body shape, and I mean that positively.
He's a fan favorite.
He's a fan favorite because he's not jacked like all the other wrestlers, but is actually capable in the ring. You don't see that a lot.
And he's a character too.
Yes, he's more
kids
the
appeal to him. Yeah.
Yes.
He's I wouldn't say he's just like a funny character, but he's just like somebody that people can connect with in the audience.
Yes. Yes.
But
I would say that his performance in the ring, I was very surprised. Like that was one of his better physical matches in the ring. I thought this was going to be like under 5 minutes, and Otis would do his little worm and get countered.
That's the difference, though, is that they gave him longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Otis has always been capable in the ring, but he doesn't get the time to show it off. They gave him the time to show it off there.
I was very impressed.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll give him more time like that. Some other notes I had. All right, we already went over Chad Gable looks better than ever. I said Chad Gable is a less intense Kurt Angle without the drugs. That's kind of. I was writing those notes during the match. That's something that I noticed during the match. He looked a little less.
Shirts. Did you see Otis the Alpha Academy shirts?
They have new ones. I forget what it said on it though.
And they make no sense. It says, I should have wrote it down, but it said something about like, "I've got you, babe." I think that's what it says. Oh,
okay. So it's like their whole thing with Maxine or whatever.
Maxine Dupree, yeah. Gotcha. I guess they're poking fun at themselves a little bit, but
well, he was wearing that free Otis shirt for the longest time, even after the Chad Gable thing was over. It was still wearing a free Otis shirt.
I guess my issue is, and I don't want to get into the whole debate about how Vince McMahon wanted to run WWE.
Yeah.
But are we just supposed to accept that the Alpha Academy is the comedic group of WWE? Are we supposed to take them seriously? Like, is that what they want from us? Is to take them seriously, or is this going back to the Vince McMahon era where we always wanted to have? Oh, I'm gonna have a percentage of my talent be the circus acts, and then I'm gonna have other talent that
I think you
should take seriously.
I think. Well, first off, I don't think the Alpha Academy name fits with them anymore since Gable's
I agree.
out.
Yeah.
So I think what they're doing, and we've seen this in the past so many times, is they kind of want the fans to connect with them, fall in love with them, and then eventually, like, let's say they need a monster heel tag team. They come in, they squash the Alpha Academy, and, fans, they'll have an emotional connection with the Alpha Academy. They'll get major, like, let's say the New Day just came out and beat the crap out of Otis and push Maxine, and, fans are so connected with them that they'll have a very big reaction. Also,
but the reaction won't be the problem with that. Is the reaction isn't so much a good reaction for Alpha Academy. It's a bad reaction for the heel. It builds the heel up, which is nice, but then it's just going to put Alpha Academy back into obscurity or the comedic act.
Yeah.
That's the only downside of that approach.
It's one of those things where we're just going to have to see what they do with it. Maybe someday they'll have some sort of idea to get them in the forefront and into some major angle. But for now,
you need somebody that is well known to give them more legitimacy. Like
yeah,
I like Akira Tozawa, but he's basically the second-rate R-Truth, right?
yeah,
And even R-Truth gives a team more legitimacy.
yeah.
I don't think any fan is sitting there like, okay, I know Akira Tozawa. I'm watching this group because it gives them
Yeah.
legitimacy, right?
I mean, if you want to get like really technical, Alpha Academy is probably good for when they do house shows and stuff. Fans probably love seeing them there. They're a team that you're always going to see at the house shows, and they serve a purpose. They probably draw some money with their merchandise and stuff.
You ever think they'll have an actual real feud? Not the way they've been doing it, but a real feud where at a premium live event, Otis actually beats Chad Gable, or do you think it'll never happen?
No, I think what happened on Monday is probably the end of that whole.
Yeah, I have to agree. I
maybe someday they'll reunite and something happens, because I could see an Otis heel turn at some point in the future. Maybe not the near future, but I could see it happen.
Well, they kind of teased it a little bit.
Yeah, it could happen someday.
They teased it with before he went to before Chad Gable went to American Made. They teased it and then they backed off, and then the fans got behind Otis. But I don't think they've gotten behind Otis enough to, treat him as like the non-comedic talent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel a little bit bad, and maybe Otis doesn't care. Maybe Otis knows where he is in WWE's realm, and that's where he's unfortunately pigeonholed himself a little bit, and maybe he's accepting that, and that's not, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but certain people know what kind of character they are, and they know where they fit in WWE.
Not everybody can be The Rock. Not everybody can be Cody
exactly.
Rhodes. So you need the enhancement talent also. They need to be on board with that. So after the American-made thing with Chad Gable versus Otis, I thought that was a really good match. Probably one of the best matches I've seen Otis in a long time.
I have to agree, yep.
They ran a package with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. So I'm over the feud with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. I love Rhea Ripley. I think she's great. To an extent, I love Liv Morgan also. I think she's great in the ring. These two together just aren't doing it for me. They aren't doing it for me anymore. They've drugged this out too long, I think. And the promo, from what I'm understanding, is they're saying that the feud ends on Monday. And I wrote in capital letters, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I'm just over it. I'm over it. Either they're going to give Ripley the title back, or they're going to have Liv move on from Rhea. And I don't really see where Liv goes from there. If she retains against Rhea on Monday, I don't see any other feuds really on the horizon for her, unless they, for whatever reason, bring Becky Lynch back and just naturally evolve into that. I don't think that's the best choice for them to do. The one note that I had on the video package, I wrote, Liv looks like she's reading a script off a prompter. You know how she might have been. She might have cuts her promos, and she has that kind of dead stare, and she just kind of is like, "I'm the women's champion." That's how it kind of felt to me. I don't know. Maybe I was being a little too judgmental.
I was less concerned with that. So I have a different concern, and it doesn't have to do with Liv Morgan or Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
But it has to do with Dominic Mysterio.
Okay.
And he gets a lot of heat. That's fine.
Yes.
But this is basically a glorified love triangle story, right?
Yep.
At this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though Rhea is over losing Dom, and now she's basically hating on Liv. But out of this whole thing, do you know who loses? Dominic Mysterio. Without throwing a punch, he loses, because even though he has the heat, it's more like he has the heat because he's the puss.
Yes.
He's got to stand up for himself.
Yeah,
right? He's basically at the mercy of Liv saving his ass all the time. So instead of the typical damsel in distress, he's the damsel, and it looks dumb.
Well, I think
it was funny. It was funny for a while as part of Judgment Day.
I think that's the whole thing with Dominic.
He needs to separate himself with Judgment Day and be his own person.
Well, you know what? Maybe that answers my question. Like, if Liv does drop the title to Rhea, maybe that's her future is some sort of storyline between her and Dominic where things, that it looks like there's some sort of tension between Finn Balor, Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio.
Well, I already see that tension building at the Finn Balor level. I do see that building.
So who knows where that's going. Dominic, I think, is always going to have a place. He's always going to be able to do something because I think his character, the fans just love to hate that guy. And I think no matter what he does, I think it will be successful. Which is crazy because when he first came to WWE, you wouldn't have expected that. You thought that it was just.
I think he has to separate himself. He's been too much with Rey Mysterio and too much with the Judgment Day. And I think he needs something to initiate a clean break from both.
I think in the future they could run like a CM Punk Dominic Mysterio thing, and that could work.
Anything. Him and
Gunther. Not in WrestleMania season though.
No,
a couple months. I think CM Punk is pretty much booked in a major feud. But
him against Gunther, or him against CM Punk, or him against Seth Rollins.
Yeah, like I could see. I could see a Dominic Mysterio CM Punk thing going on. It would take some work and definitely some storytelling, but even like a Logan Paul, Dominic Mysterio, if they did a tag team or something, that'd be interesting. And then one of them turn on the other, see where that goes. I think Dominic Mysterio, he will always have a place on the main roster of whatever show. I think he's going to be just fine. So after that, we went into the women's Intercontinental, semifinals. First match was Dakota Kai, who was
versus Zoe Stark.
Zoe Stark. Dakota Kai and Zoe Stark. The one thing that I noticed right away, and I'm sure you noticed it too, Dakota Kai's rolling backcracker. I said that move was like 5 stars. That was one of the most innovative moves I've seen in a long time. And I'm saying in wrestling in general, not just women's wrestling. Like, what the hell? Where did that come from?
Yes, I would say that was
I've never seen somebody do that move before.
The match of the night. The fans were really vested. I know lately the fans have been not as vested in the women's matches with the, several exceptions. But I was a little bit skeptical of these, I don't use secondary in like a negative sense, but I mean literal sense, the U.S. and the Intercontinental secondary titles for the women's matches, but I think it's elevated it. I was a little skeptical, but I think Chelsea Green, it's elevated her character.
Yes, and I think once the tournament's over for the Intercontinental Women's Championship, I think it's going to elevate whoever wins that also. I think it's going to be a positive, and I said this before, I think I've said it to you. I think this really needs to lead towards an all-women's show at some point, because they're getting to a point now where the women have so many titles, they're bringing in so much talent, fans are getting invested in the female roster. I think that they need their own separate show at some point, at least an hour a week, where it just focuses on women's storylines, matches. I'm not saying it needs to compete with Raw or SmackDown or anything, or even NXT, but if they just had a 1 hour time slot, even if it was just on YouTube, I think it would be effective.
But when you're saying that, that's in addition to having women talent on Raw and SmackDown, correct?
Yes, they definitely shouldn't separate the brands. Like, only women on this show.
We don't do that.
No. They should always have title defenses definitely on Raw, SmackDown pay-per-views, but then also have title defenses on an all-women's show also. I think they could make some money off of that. I really do. I don't think it should be a separate touring, though. I don't think that they should be touring the country with an all-women's roster. It should be something that's like taped after Raw or after SmackDown or something like that. At least a 1 hour program. But yeah, I really like that match. Not too familiar with much of Dakota Kai's stuff, because it seems like whenever she gets the ball rolling, she gets injured again. It's unfortunate, but that's just like, I haven't really seen any long-term things with her, because every time that she does get into something, she seems to get injured. This has happened like the past 2 years now. So hopefully her being in this tournament will lead to big things for her. I didn't really write too much about this match. I said clean finish for Dakota, good match. And then I wrote the rolling backcracker should be a finisher. That was one thing that surprised me when she landed that move. It looked great, it looked effective, it looked punishing, but it wasn't the finish of the match. I really think that should have been the finisher right there. That should have been it.
Do you think she's going to win the tournament? I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit because there was a second match later in the show, but
let me see here.
Because I have a prediction, and I don't think it's her.
Hold on, I'm trying to go through my notes here. So Io Sky won the one against Valkyrie, right? Or did Valkyrie win that?
No, Lyra.
Lyra won it. Okay, so between Lyra, Valkyrie, and Dakota Kai, I would say Dakota. I would say that Dakota should win that. In my opinion. I think
she should, but I think WWE's going to go with Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah, it does seem like
I think she's not getting over with the fans in the way that they expected.
But she's been paying her dues. I mean, she took that squash from Nia Jax back at the Queen of the Ring. Yeah. She's had some really good matches. It's just she's one of those people that me personally I have a hard time connecting with her character.
Because they need to give her promo time.
I don't understand her gimmick. I don't understand her character. It's hard for me to really connect with her. So I guess
because
maybe
I know the
that's
trick.
Where...
I think there's a trick that WWE plays, and this is just something I've picked up on. They purposely get with entrance music that the fans can sing along to, and they think if you get an entrance music that the fans can sing along to or chant to, that's automatic connection. And I noticed that she has that section in her theme music where like the fans are supposed to go woo or whatever. Yeah. Like they do it and then that's the end of it, right? And
yes, this has to be more of a connection than just a song.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think they try to capitalize like the way Seth Rollins' theme music is, right? Yep. It's like a sing along and
but that just happened naturally. Like they didn't make that theme music and plan for the crowd. The crowd just does it naturally. That's what they should really be waiting for.
Yeah.
So after that, they had a video package for Raw, kind of showing highlights from Raw and USA. Obviously, missing a lot of things that they probably aren't allowed to show these days. I thought it was a good video package going on. I wrote that Priest needs new music. I'm not into the Damian Priest theme song.
I agree with that.
Theme. I'm not into it.
And again, just similar to Liv Morgan. Where does he go after Judgment Day?
True.
Right? The path doesn't seem clear for him.
They kind of kept him connected to Rhea for a little bit there. Yeah.
Does he go back to Gunther? Is he in world title connection?
I mean, he's a former champion, so I think he's kind of meddling in those waters a little bit. So then we had the match with the War Raiders and what was it, Judgment Day?
Yeah.
This is just my opinion, so please don't get too mad about it.
I know what you're gonna say.
I just said other than the War Raiders, I have no interest in this match. I really didn't have any interest.
I was a little surprised and shocked that they put the titles on the War Raiders with that. I was very surprised.
I like the War Raiders as a team. I think for their size, they are very good. They move around like they're cruiserweights, which is kind of crazy. I'm not into the Judgment Day anymore. I think it's kind of ran its course.
Yes.
I have a little hope for the whole angle with Finn Balor, Liv Morgan. There's some sort of distrust there. Kind of interested to see how that breaks down. But I'm not into JD McFunko Pop. I'm not into Carlito being part of that team. They lost a lot of their credibility when Rhea left, when Damian Priest left.
Yes.
Now it's just kind of like you're left with like the BWO instead of the NWO.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of and I don't know. I'm just kind of over it at this point. We've seen so much of the Judgment Day. I think their best days are behind them at this point.
Do you think that there is long-term partnership with Damian Priest and the War Raiders? Or was that a one-time thing?
I think it was a one-time thing.
To give them legitimacy.
See the connection there. Yeah. I don't really see a connection between all of them. Um, they announced that Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre next week. I definitely see Drew taking that victory there unless something crazy happens.
Speaking of which, an odd thing I noticed during Raw, I don't know if you picked up on this, Wade Barrett, you know the little headbutt thing that Drew McIntyre does, right?
The
called a Glasgow kiss.
Yes.
Yeah. Wade Barrett called it the Glaswegian kiss.
What?
Twice.
What
Twice on
mean?
Raw. Run back the recording, dude. I was like, what is this guy talking about? I don't know if that was like a flub.
Maybe it's an inside joke or something.
Wade Barrett is, international himself. There's a meaning I don't understand.
What the hell? I didn't catch that, but that's funny.
Yeah, he said it like twice. It was really weird.
So we had a promo from Ludwig Kaiser. I said that Kaiser seems to be getting comfortable cutting promos by himself, which is kind of cool. I think he's a future star. I can see
he needs a character change.
Yes, I think there's a natural story arc where he's gonna displace himself from Gunther at some point. Those two will have
to fight. That's the only way to create separation. Otherwise, he just looks like
I see him definitely
Gunther,
as a future,
but smaller.
future Intercontinental Champion. I definitely see that happening. We'll see how that goes down the line. They announced New Day versus Rey Mysterio and a mystery partner. The sleuths on the internet are saying that the mystery partner is going to be none other than Penta from AEW. I forget what his full name was. Penta El Zoriol or something like that.
Yeah.
My mind is telling me they're probably correct because he.
Yes.
WWE hasn't formally announced that he signed with them, but I know he's not under contract with AEW. There's been rumors for months on months and months that he's coming. I think it'll be interesting. The teaming with Rey Mysterio is also very interesting to me because I think I'm seeing a swerve happening here, and I'm not talking about Strickland.
Or Strickland.
I think we're going to see Penta turn on Rey Mysterio. Maybe
I have to agree because if he doesn't,
I think the Penta character I think is dark. And he's Lucha Libre, but I think he's dark. He has a dark side to him. And I think
they have to do it because they've got themselves into a corner. Because if Penta doesn't do it, New Day has to win that match. They have to win it in some fashion.
Or they can lose.
Or come away. I should say, come away like they've won the match, right?
I mean, I could see them losing and then them claiming that Ray cheated or something, or that they were cheated out of it.
But it can't come out looking like Penta's the hero.
Yeah.
Because New Day needs, right now they're getting heat, but we don't know if it's cheap heat.
Yeah.
We know it's not, but to the casual fan, you don't know, right? They need momentum. And they don't have momentum, they just have heat. And heat without momentum just becomes cheap heat eventually because fans get bored, right? So they need momentum. So they need some kind of actual win or something that looks like they came out on top, even if they don't win the match on paper.
I could see
they have to beat up Rey Mysterio after the match or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's not necessarily a team up with Penta, but it's the enemy in Miami.
Yeah, I don't think the New Day will team up with Penta because I think they'd move into a Penta.
Yeah, not literally,
Rey
but
Mysterio
both involved in beating up on Ray, and then they go their separate ways or something. But New Day needs
will
momentum.
Take the victory. They'll take pretty much like Penta will do something to Ray, and then let's say Kofi Kingston will kind of slither into the ring and get the pinfall.
Yeah,
they'll take a cheap win. We had the Io Sky versus the Valkyrie. I said Io has all the tools, I just don't connect with her. Great match, crowd is hot for this. And then I wrote Valkyrie seems a little off tonight, and I think it was kind of because something that wasn't connecting in the ring. I thought it seemed like they were moving a little slow.
Maybe I would say that I didn't watch the matches closely as the other matches. I think it was a fine match, but there was so much other stuff that was special throughout Raw that match didn't feel special. It felt average. It was a good average match.
Yeah, I definitely was into the Dakota Kai Why did I keep forgetting her name?
Zoe Stark.
Zoe Stark match. I thought I was definitely into that more. And then we ended the show with the CM Punk, Seth Rollins confrontation in the ring. And I've been kind of debating this in my head all week. Was this the best promo of the year of 2024?
It was close.
It was close. The thing is, they're both involved in what I think was the best promo, which was the one before WrestleMania with Seth, Drew, and Punk, where Drew was sitting on the table, and I thought that was the best promo. I think it brought real heat. There was real emotion in there, and this one had the same feel, but I think it just was missing a little bit that other one had, and maybe that was Drew McIntyre. Definitely,
it's pretty close though. It's pretty
good.
Good.
This is definitely, if this isn't the number one promo of 2024, this was number 2. This was a great promo. You could tell that there's some real deep hate between these two, but they're going to be professionals and work it out.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a real question. Do you think that there's legitimate dislike between the two?
Yes.
Behind the scenes in real life?
Yes, but they're both professionals.
Of course.
Yes.
So similar to The Rock and John Cena the first time, there was legitimate distrust.
Yes.
They had the match. They squashed their beef. Mm-hmm. Not saying they're best friends, but there's no beef. Now, I don't know if after this there'll be no beef. It sounds like they have the same beef they had
it's possible that maybe
year.
Working together they'll work out their differences, but I think there's some real heat between them two.
And I think the heat got revealed. I don't think that the heat is different than the promo. I think the promo is close to true to life of how Seth Rollins really feels about Punk.
Yes.
In my opinion, I think that the heat comes more from Rollins than it does Punk.
Punk definitely wants to bury the hatchet.
Has less beef with Seth than the other way around.
He wants to bury the hatchet, right? But Seth just isn't there yet. But obviously they're there enough that they're willing to work together. So I think that's a step in the right direction. And I think the big payoff is the fans get to see an excellent match, and we're going to see that tomorrow
it'll be a top-notch match.
Yeah, so we'll get to see an excellent match between them two, and hopefully they'll work out their differences in the meantime while that's happening. And that
Do you think that's a one-time match, or that's going to build?
No. I think that's going to be an ongoing thing. I don't think it's going to be a WrestleMania in the WrestleMania cards, a one-on-one match. But we'll see. I think that they may be involved with each other at WrestleMania in a different capacity. I plan on getting into that a little bit later in my predictions. I'll have some predictions on where I think that might be heading. But that is how they closed out the last Raw of 2024, the last Raw on the USA Network, at least for the next 10 years. And I thought it was a great close. A lot of times I don't really like it when a promo closes a show, but this one seemed to work. And I was happy with that.
And WWE has had a history of December being pretty boring.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're in between the Survivor Series and the Rumble.
Yeah, and I would argue that this is the opposite this time. Maybe because of the Raw on Netflix sparked some energy into having
they are 100%
better
on board
content.
with that. Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So that goes for the Raw recap, and we got a couple things that I want to talk about in regards to some things that have been going on online, especially specifically regarding AEW. So let me pull something up here really, really quick. So this was a press conference after AEW's last pay-per-view, which was World's End, I think it was, right? Is that what it was called? This happened like 2 weeks ago. I think it was World's End. Let me pull this up real quick here. And so this happened at a press conference after World's End. And this is something that basically like kind of gave me the idea of why we should be doing this podcast. Because one thing that I think is a little unfair is there's some media bias towards, maybe it's just my opinion, but I think there's a little bit of media bias towards AEW. I think that a lot of these wrestling journalists and reporters, they see it as, and I kind of see where they're coming from. they want to make sure that AEW stays afloat because that brings money to them. That brings them revenue. Instead of just having WWE to talk about, they have two promotions they could talk about and have content for and all this stuff. But I think sometimes they take it a little too far, and this is going to be an example of that. So let me just start this video up, and you guys can kind of give me my thoughts on this, Mr. Chunk and anybody that's in the chat here. Let me just run this video really, really quick here. If it wants to, there it goes.
There has been,
let me know if you can hear
what
it.
I would consider a lot of chatter online, negativity in regards to the product. And obviously, you're just coming off a brand new television deal. You're going to be on Max. You're going to be doing all this stuff. Do you guys have at least a strategy for next year to try to combat a lot of this negativity that festers online and is basically done for almost monetary reasons to basically bring down what you guys are doing when you guys are literally
also pay attention to Tony Khan's facial expressions
in regards to money. Your best year that you've had since you've started. Like I said, I just see it online, and it's difficult. It's hard. It's hard to watch if you're a fan of AEW to just see again a lot of the negativity in regards to and it's bad faith negativity.
Okay, so
I think there's like you said, so many great positive things.
Okay, that's the end of it. So my whole thing with that is I don't think it's negativity to be critical of a television show or a product or whatever. And that's one of my problems I have with AEW is that the fans, the talent, people involved with it, they're very like hypersensitive to any type of criticism. If somebody says, hey, I didn't really like that match, I didn't really like that show or something, it's not done on purpose for monetary gain. It's not done on purpose to just purposely shit on something. Maybe the person just actually didn't really like it. And there's no other motive behind that. Like, that is possible. I love WWE, but if there's something I don't like, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to not like it. I'm going to discuss it. So I don't understand where, I do understand where this reporter is coming from asking that question, because he's trying to glaze the boss of AEW. He's trying to, I don't know if he's trying to get himself a job, but he's just trying to pretty much be a kiss ass, get his head up his ass. My head doesn't fit up somebody's ass like that. My head's quite big. But yeah, I just thought that was a very odd, like, you could have asked any type of question at a press conference, and instead you just want to kind of fluff up the owner of a company instead of asking like a legitimate question.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with that. And they actually missed the more important question.
Mm-hmm.
So they touched on the new TV deal and made it sound like a big positive, and it is.
Yes.
But guess what came out of that TV deal?
What's that?
No more AEW Rampage.
Yeah.
Done.
The shows got
Done.
canceled. Yeah.
The last show was last week. That was it.
Yeah.
All right. And then they have that Battle of the Belts that's like every couple of months, also canceled.
The specials. Yeah, they have a special like 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah. Those are also canceled. They're off the table at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to poo-poo on the deal, but, let's be realistic that they had to make some sacrifices on that deal, right? It wasn't the perfect
one interesting
deal.
thing about the deal, it's more money than that they were getting before per year. But the thing that's interesting is it's only a 3-year deal. It's a 3-year with an option to extend to 5 years. What does that option entail? The way I look at it is maybe WB Discovery or whatever didn't have confidence that AEW was going to be able to continue having steady ratings, and maybe they didn't want to sign on for 5 years and said they're going to do 3 and then see how things go. In that 3 years, if they, let's say they somehow get under 400,000 viewers on Dynamite in 3 years' time, are they going to extend to the 5 years? Or are they going to part ways, or are they going to renegotiate?
I don't know what the metrics are, right? I mean, all we could do is speculate on what.
I just find it
target
interesting
metrics.
that they weren't willing to go for a 5-year deal. They went for 3 with the option to do 5. That tells me that they have a good relationship, a good working relationship, but they aren't 100% confident that it's going to be a long-term thing for them. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah.
That's just
and
my
you
opinion.
know what? I mean, it's not all bad because they could be like TNA, right? And
Yeah.
and TNA struggles to get TV deals.
TNA is like a cockroach. Like, they will not go away. They're sticking around. Like, they could have horrible ratings. They somehow are sticking around. They still have a TV deal.
So with AEW, I just think, like, my thing with AEW is this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they could be a juggernaut someday. And I think that the super fans of AEW are trying to compare them to WWE in current state.
Yes.
And
the fans
I don't think that's
the fans have a very negative effect on AEW. They're kind of gatekeeping the company. Like, they turn away new fans. The fans of AEW, they turn away new fans sometimes just by how they just. I'm not going to get into it, but just by some of the actions that they do and some of the things that they do when talking about their company, and they kind of scare people away sometimes.
Like, but they've only been around for how many years, right? AEW's been around
over 5 years.
A little over 5 years,
yeah.
and you compare them to WWE. And I'll define WWE as this. Mm-hmm. To me, the WWE as we know it today started, what was it, 1993, right? Their first episode of Raw.
Oh, yeah, when Raw was 1993, yes.
Yes, and that's when they went into scheduled weekly programming, right? And that, to me, is the precipice.
Yes, like
episodic programming, right?
Yeah, they had shows before, but Raw was the first time that they were trying to do like live. Well, they weren't even doing it live right away. They kind of would do,
but it was repeated, scheduled, weekly episodic programming, right?
Yes, it wasn't.
So to me, that's a definition of the WWE as we know it today.
Yes,
that's been over 30 years at this point, right? So. I do give credit to AEW in the sense that they've done a lot to get to where they are in 5 years.
Yes.
And they have a lot more to do. But to compare them to WWE, positive or negative, is pretty useless.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're there yet, right? Now, you want to talk in 15 years again? Sure. And I know that AEW probably thinks they're on the fast track to be at the same level of WWE in 3-4 years.
AEW is lucky.
Maybe
they have unlimited funding, because any other wrestling company that would be getting the numbers that they do, ratings wise, the attendance that they do at their shows, they would be like in emergency mode trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
The thing with AEW, they don't have to worry about it because they have unlimited funding. Profits don't matter to them. That, like, Tony Khan, he is set that he could go in the red another 5 years and it wouldn't matter.
But that's kind of the issue I have, because then that changes his attitude about how he runs the company.
Yes.
Right? As a business owner, you should run your company as if you don't think you'll be in business the next day.
Yeah.
So he's basically just running this like, okay, well, I have unlimited money.
It's a hobby.
So I'm going to just try whatever the hell I want.
Yep.
And it starts at a dartboard without any real long-term planning.
Yep. And that's why I think, like, people are always saying, oh, they need to get a different booker. Tony shouldn't book the shows and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that would work, because if he's not booking the shows, then he's not having fun. And then how long will he continue, like, dropping money into it? He's dropping money into it because he is running the show.
He's the control. It's his pet project, right?
So
until it's not.
Yeah, if he would give that responsibility to somebody else, and then he's just like funneling money into it for what? He's not making profit off of it. At least not to the extent, like, they're not a public company, so nobody knows like what their records are.
Right.
Obviously, they have a massive TV deal, but how much money are they spending every year? We don't know. There's speculation.
Here's the thing: we're super fans of WWE.
Yes.
If you gave us $50 million, do you think we could put on a show and a product comparable to WWE? No, I don't think we could.
No.
I don't think that. Absolutely. I don't think it's about the amount of money. It's the amount of experience and the length of time they've had in this industry, and they kind of know what works, and they know what doesn't. And even for WWE, as good as they are, not everything they do is gold either. They have some misses.
Oh no, because they had some big misses.
Yeah,
they've. I mean, if you're talking about the long history of WWE, there's some stuff that is ridiculous that it made to television.
But I would say in the last 5 to 10 years, they've really honed in on their product.
Yes, they've also known they for good and bad, they could see when something's amiss now, and they could kind of deviate from it. We've seen that happen a lot.
Yes, they course correct very quickly.
Yes, one example would be Da Vinci or whatever from the.
Yeah, they tried that for about 3 weeks, and then they realized
they had him do promos. He did one match, and then boop, he's gone because it wasn't connecting. They're going to be like, okay, we're going to try something else.
Yeah. They probably cancel wrestlers faster than Netflix cancels shows.
Yeah, and it's not that they're canceling him. It's like maybe they're going to repackage him. Maybe he's going to do something else. We'll see.
I don't think so. I think when you see the next round of fond farewells after WrestleMania, he'll be on that list.
We'll see. Maybe. I mean, I hope not. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
No, I hope not. But there's reality, right? They don't have room for everybody.
So, since we're on the topic of AEW, I don't know if you noticed, but they had a new theme song on Wednesday night.
Let's just say I was a little less than excited.
Well, for people that missed it, we have a clip of it right here. Let's this one right here. Let's play this real quick and let's see if anybody is surprised here. Let us know if you think of wrestling when you hear this. It's a good song. Honestly, like, I just imagine myself in the minivan with my grandma going to James Way to pick up wrestling action figures as a kid when I hear this song.
You doing a little chubby checker?
Yeah, there you go. I want you. So, it's not that it's a bad song. It just doesn't fit wrestling too well. At all. So the thing is, this concerned me a lot. Hold on, we got it. There we go. This concerned me a lot to the point that I actually emailed Tony Khan himself. And I said, Mr. Tony Khan, what were you thinking with this song? It's a great song, and I'm sure it was very expensive for you to have as the opening at Dynamite. But do you really think that this fits the energy that you want for the show? When you think of wrestling, do you think of what the Scissor Sisters or the Pointer Sisters singing "I'm So Excited"? Because honestly, when I hear "I'm So Excited," I think of Saved by the Bell with that one chick that sang it while she was crying.
Yeah.
And basically,
are you sure you didn't email Shaka Khan by accident?
No, I emailed Tony Khan and I asked him what was the deal with that music. And he sent me an email back. Believe it or not, he sent me an email back. And he said, well, we had some other options, but we chose to run this one to see how people liked it. And then he sent me a couple of the other options that he had. And I asked him if we could play it on the show today, and he said, fine. So one of the options that he had was this. And let me know if you think that this would have been more of a fit for AEW Dynamite. Rick Astley.
Why am I not surprised?
Rick Astley. I mean, this kind of fits the energy, right? A little bit. The video package goes right along with it. Yeah. I mean, I don't think this one's that bad. I really don't. I don't know. Do I like it more than the Pointer Sisters? I don't know. He also sent me a couple other ones. This one was an odd choice, but he was thinking about possibly having this. Love this song. Missy Kaboom here. Mod Flu, thanks for stopping in. Missy Kaboom, I like this better. You liked Rick Astley better than the Pointer Sisters. Okay. He sent me another song. This one was kind of shocking to me, to be honest with you. I was very surprised. Dude, I don't know how you knew that, but he was considering this to be the intro to AEW Dynamite. How did you know that? Did you email him too? All right, dude. Keep your clothes on. You don't have to dance like that, dude. All right. Okay. So, yeah, I don't think that fit the energy for AEW Dynamite at all. I don't know about you. Unfortunately, he sent me like 3 other options here.
I don't know what tops Baby Shark.
Yeah, I mean, it's catchy, but I don't think of wrestling when I hear Baby Shark. But maybe you'll think of wrestling when you hear this one.
He's bouncing off my booty cheeks. I love the way he rides. I can hardly breathe when he's pumping deep inside. I kiss him on his neck and then he kisses
what kind of dance is that? You look like you're a jackrabbit, dude.
Yeah, I'm on the horse.
Okay, yeah, okay, you're riding the horse.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm wearing my assless chaps.
I also like how they had the Costco guys in the video there. Yeah, good looking by Dixon Dallas. Okay, bouncing off their booty cheeks. I don't know if that's
maybe get a hashtag started. Yeah. Hashtag booty cheeks.
Oh God, I don't know if that one's gonna work. He has 2 other options that he sent me. He did want my feedback on which one I think would be better. So here is one of the last 2 here. Let me know what you think, dude.
My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack. My neck, my back, lick my pussy.
I think that this one might not get cleared for TV. It's a little too much here. I'm not singing along. All right, we might need to stop that. Okay, that's a little too much. And the last one, this one interests me the most. Because it's an original song. This is an original song. I have no idea who sings it. I've never heard this song before. Here, I'll just let you have a little listen.
Wednesday nights I get to stay up late, watch Kenny Omega while I masturbate. Hey mom, I need to watch this show.
You gotta, it does fit the vibe.
I would say so.
It has one of the wrestlers' name in it. I kind of like that one, I'll be honest. I think when I send my email back, that's going to be the one that I pick.
Did you find that on YouTube? In all honesty, that song.
What do you mean? No, Tony Khan sent me those songs in an email, dude.
Oh, so he recorded. Somebody record.
I don't know where he got the song from. He just sent it. He sent it to me in an email.
Okay.
Out of those songs, which one do you think should be the new AEW Dynamite theme song?
I mean, the last one I like, but it wouldn't get cleared for TV.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Do you think My Neck, My Back would get cleared for
TV? Not that one either. Maybe the Baby Shark.
You're going to go with Baby Shark, dude?
Yeah.
You know what? At this point, I think I'm just going to have to send him an email and say, you know what? Stick with the Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited. Let's just stick with that. Oh, God. Well, since we're talking about AEW, we might as well go into what the results were for AEW Dynamite this past week with their new...
I don't want to shortchange you a little bit, but maybe we should make a little bit of haste in order to fit in some additional content.
Yeah. So let's just quickly go over this here. So the main event was FTR and Adam Copeland versus the Death Riders. To be honest with you, I know that they're in the hometown of FTR, Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler. Wasn't really into the match. I'm not invested in the storyline at all. And I'm not trying to shit on AEW. I just can't get into Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta. I like Claudio, Cesaro in WWE. I can't get into it. I just can't. I'm trying to so hard.
I would say there's one comment we have to make.
What's that?
I don't understand Edge's new name.
Cope.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I understand it.
He's
but
not
it's
allowed to
dumb.
say it. He's not allowed to call himself Edge. So,
I understand that,
yeah.
but just call him like anything else.
Yeah.
Like, and I know Cope is short for Copeland, but it sounds like a crappy attempt at being a rap star.
Yeah. Here comes Cope. Here comes Cope to the ring to save.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio. Nah, doesn't work. We also saw Julia Hart versus Jamie Hayter. The one comment I put in my notes was Sabrina the Teenage Witch is back, which would be Julia Hart. I really, really, really wasn't into the match.
No.
I'm not sure what's going on with Jamie Hayter. It seems like she's having an identity crisis. The match was very slow paced, which I understand. Julia Hart just came off of an injury. She was out for at least 6 months, maybe even longer than that. So I understand it. I don't know if that would have been a match I put on Dynamite. I wouldn't have saved that for Collision. Maybe have them work out some ring rust a little bit. They also had the 3-way for the #1 spot in the Casino Gauntlet. This was the match of the night to me. I wrote in my notes that this should have been probably the main event. We saw Roderick Strong, Jay White, and Swerve Strickland go at it with some afterbirth of what's his name?
Ricochet.
Scissoring Swerve Strickland. I thought the match was great, and then the whole attack with Ricochet was kind of ridiculous, but that's kind of what AEW does. They go a little too far. You folks, we saw a live stabbing on TV. He literally took scissors and jammed it into Swerve Strickland's head and continued.
It's reminiscent of ECW all over again.
Yeah. We'll see where that goes. I don't know really how I feel about the whole thing. Saw a lot of blood, a lot of craziness. It's not something you would have saw in WWE. So if that's what they were going for, congratulations. Point accomplished. Because WWE would not do that.
Ricochet would have been better off in the Hurt Syndicate to build him up as a strong heel.
Yeah.
Whatever they did on Wednesday.
The best thing that could happen was Ricochet get a mouthpiece. Because he can't cut a promo. He's trying so hard. But eventually,
maybe he could have over time, but now they rushed his acceleration as a big heel, and I think that they did Blood and Violence again in order to rush that rather than build it slowly.
Absolutely. We also had the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin versus the Acclaimed. And we had a little conflict between the Acclaimed, Max Caster, and Anthony Bowens. Looks like Bowens has had enough with Max Caster, and his whole best wrestler alive persona, and pretty much left his partner in the wind to get beat the hell out of by Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin.
Here's the problem that AEW may not realize, right? The Acclaimed was a great team.
Yes.
But the Acclaimed is basically because of Max Caster.
Yes.
Anthony Bowens is the second fiddle. He's good talent, right? Good in-ring talent.
He's a good hype man.
But once they officially break up, right?
They're going to have to do some work with Bowens.
Yes, absolutely.
He's not going to immediately be a singles. Yeah, they're both going to need some work to be singles competitive.
I would say even Caster has some work to do, but I think Caster has like a couple of legs up over Bowens. Yeah. In the hierarchy there.
More character. He's definitely got more character going on.
Yes.
So they have some work to do with both of them. We also had Jeff Jarrett make an announcement that he was kind of teased a retirement, but then was like, "Oh, I'm going to win some gold in 2025."
He's 57 years old.
It looks like,
and he's in decent shape for that age, but come on,
incredible shape for his age. But they're going for the Sting. They're going for the Sting retirement run. They're trying to recapture that. The only problem is Jeff Jarrett isn't Sting. That's the problem. Yeah. Jeff Jarrett
I don't think fans connect as much. No. The modern fan doesn't even know who he is.
Jeff Jarrett is the most successful mid-carder in wrestling ever.
Yes.
He's won major titles in companies that he had pull in. Basically his own company, TNA, when he owned it. He made himself the champion. He was a WCW heavyweight champion. He never reached those heights in WWE for a reason. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm glad that he's doing what he loves to do. I'm glad that he can continue to wrestle at this age. I wouldn't make that call. I would not have him on my roster. Not in the capacity that he's in AEW right now. He would be more of a backstage capacity. He'd be helping the younger talent, not getting wins over them, not winning titles from them. I don't see, like, the only thing I really see is they have, what is it, the All In Texas coming up, and Jeff Jarrett is from Texas, so maybe they're banking on him being in his hometown and like drawing some sort of crowd there. Maybe that's their logic behind it. I don't know. Wasn't it interesting to me. Would have been more interesting if he actually did announce his retirement. But where they're going with that, I'm not sure. And then we had the opening match. The opening match was Orange Cassidy versus Hangman Adam Page. And the one thing I put in my notes here, and I still feel like this, is both of these guys to me looked like they were just going through the motions. It looked like they were doing their greatest hits, their moves. There was no real feeling behind it. There was no blood feud or anything. They were just getting through the match.
I'm getting tired of seeing Orange Cassidy.
Doing his shtick, hands in the pocket.
It's a shtick. It's a shtick. If he was that same character, here's the thing: if he was that same character in WWE, he'd be Otis.
Yes,
they would not be giving him
WWE wouldn't be running that character for as long as AEW's been running that since the very first Dynamite.
You know what I'd love to see?
WWE would have ran it for maybe a year.
I'd love to get a count on how many matches Orange Cassidy has had. In AEW, I see him on TV every week.
Yes, he's one of their favorites. He gets on TV a lot, cutting promos and everything.
He's not even that good at it.
Yeah, well, his character was supposed to be like he doesn't care. And...
Right, you can only go so far with that character.
Yeah,
what evolution can you have with that character?
Yeah. I'll never forget like the first year of AEW, one of the promos they had when Orange Cassidy was buddies with the Best Friends, and they cut a promo, and they're like, you know, they were like, you know what, you're gonna get it this time because Orange Cassidy, he's gonna try. That was the base of the promo was, you're in trouble now because he's gonna try.
You have a character like Orange Cassidy, who was clearly a comedic character.
Yeah.
But they're trying to make you somewhat take him seriously.
Yeah, it's
and
kind
I
of
don't think it meshes.
Into that. At first, it was definitely 100% just a funny character that like Gen Z could connect with. And then it got a little stupid when they're trying to make it like be more serious.
And they're giving him titles and stuff for a while. And I'm like, I don't understand.
It got a little too stupid there.
It's over. He's overexposed.
Yeah. So that was pretty much AEW Dynamite, kind of a throwaway episode to me. I
would have given credit on one thing though, the MJF promo.
Yes.
You didn't touch on that. That was very good.
Well, MJF is always going to hit it out of the park with his promos.
Yeah.
The one thing that I noticed with that show was at the pay-per-view last Saturday, Kenny Omega came back. There wasn't, I think maybe they might have mentioned him briefly, but why wasn't he on the show? When you have a big return, why, like, if WWE had a huge return, bet your ass that person would be on Raw, unless they were a SmackDown exclusive talent. When CM Punk had made his return, he was on Raw the next night.
Was Kenny he on Omega, Collision?
No,
I didn't watch Collision. Was he on Collision at all?
No. Kenny
at
Omega
least be on one of the shows, right?
Like
at least
over
be on one
a
of them.
year, and he is like Kenny Omega at one point was their John Cena.
Yeah,
and he came back, and the thing is, Kenny Omega had a big match in Japan last night. They didn't promote it at all. They promoted Sasha Banks' match on at that show, Wrestle Dynasty, I think it was called. Sasha Banks had a promo promoting that match. Why didn't they promote Kenny Omega having a match with Gabe Kidd, I think his name was? I don't understand it. I really don't. And I'm not the biggest Kenny Omega fan in the world, but when the guy returns on the pay-per-view, mention it. Something. Show highlights. Yeah. Have him at the show. You don't have to have him wrestle, but what the hell? You want to get ratings.
I have to agree with you. I have to agree with you.
But that was my biggest take from the show. Very frustrated with that. Anyways, moving on from one frustration to another. Mr. Chunk, I think you have some things you want to share with us, don't you?
Yeah, I think this is the inaugural debut of,
ladies and gentlemen,
a special segment.
Yeah. We're going to have a special segment on the shows, maybe once or twice a month.
Did you say smegma or segment?
Yeah, smegma. Smegma's on the show. Sorry, I'm slipping over my words here. We're going to have a special...
No, I think you were accurate with that word, by the way. That's what you're going to see.
This segment we're going to call Mr. Chunk's Toy Chest. And I'll let him explain it to you, but we have a special little scene that we're going to go to on OBS here for Mr. Chunk's Toy Chest right now. There we go. And Mr. Chunk, I'm going to let you kind of take it from here.
All right. So, this is going to be a periodic segment, not all the time, because it's a special edition, right? Mm-hmm. But the point of this segment is to demo things from the wrestling world that are collectibles and oddities and things you don't see every day. And I have certain qualifications for the things that I acquire. So, you know, things that are popular in the market, everybody gets like action figures and the full-size title belts, right? Those are all well and good. I try to, A, keep myself restricted to a budget or else I will have no money. And B, I want to try to get things that are demoable, right? Something to show, right? An action figure is nice to look at, but that's all it is. So my qualifications are things that are electronic, so they either light up or they make noise, or they have some mechanical ability to them that is unique. Or they're edible. I'll do anything that's edible. But we're not quite there yet. Not for this episode.
Anything that's edible. Okay, dude. We'll find out what all fits in that category.
Yeah. All right. So the first is probably it's cool, but it's probably the least odd out of the collection, or least rare. And not everything here, when I say rare, I don't mean rare in terms of very expensive.
Yeah.
Some things that are rare, just things that you don't see every day. They're not advertised all the time.
Just generally maybe odd.
Yes.
Something that you don't see
so often. Given that I don't have a ton of physical space where I'm at right here, I'm trying to collect some of the mini belts.
Okay.
You know, I know a lot of people collect the full-size belts, and they look beautiful. They're also $700. Mini belts are like $150. I personally think the mini belts are packaged better, and you're about to see one in a minute. And sometimes the mini belts have additional adornments on them compared to the full-size belts.
Yeah.
Because the full-size belts are pretty much shaped the same way all the time.
And the mini belts you can kind of fit on your shelf and show off.
Yes.
They're very like displayable.
Yes. So the one I've acquired recently is the John Cena one, and I thought that this was apropos for this first episode, because we all know 2025 is John Cena's retirement tour.
Yep.
So I figured, hey, maybe I should, be part of that club and get something that represents John Cena. So John Cena has a mini belt, and you can see now, unfortunately, I don't have the original box it came in, but this is the display box that you would have the mini belt in, right? So it looks like a little lock box with the retro WWE logo on it.
Now, the first thing I'm going to ask, do you plan on getting a chain and wearing that around your neck at any point?
No, it's a little heavier than you think. It's a good 2 pounds.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think it would be practical.
If you had it like just around your neck like Flavor Flav or something.
All right, so let me open this up.
Okay. Was it just have some clamps on the back there? Okay, cool. Oh, wow. That's kind of cool how it opens up. I like it.
So you could display it like this, like I display it on my shelf like this.
Nice.
But it also does come out. So I'm going to take it out of the box a little bit. It's a bit of a tight fit.
That's what she said.
So you can see here, it has the shape of what would be a full-size belt.
Yeah, I think they do have a full-size version just like that.
Yes. And of course, in traditional John Cena fashion,
it's a spinner. There it is.
It is a spinner. I would not
spinner.
have gotten it otherwise.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it even has the buttons on the back so I can unbutton it.
Yep. And do you plan on wearing that as like a wristwatch at any point, like to any social gatherings or?
I think it's a little bit big.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a little tough to do that. But that is the John Cena mini belt.
Nice.
And that was, for a period of time, I think earlier last year, it was in the WWE shop.
Mm-hmm.
It sold out very quickly.
Yes.
I probably should have gotten my hands on it through there.
As many of the mini belts do.
When it was available, and I failed that. I did have to get this on eBay after a market.
Yeah.
But I would say it was somewhat fairly priced.
Oh, that's good.
It was not market value. It was maybe like a 20-30% over market value, but it wasn't that bad.
It's a nice addition to the collection.
Yeah. So I'm gonna open something else here.
Open.
I don't even know if I should show the front.
Or is this new?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
No, I opened it because I wanted to make sure it worked, and I didn't know what I was in store for.
Okay.
Okay. So I did buy this off of WWE Shop.
All right.
But I don't think it's an item that most people know about, and there's a series of them. So this one isn't the only one that's out there. There's other WWE characters that have their own version of this. So it's basically a electronic bobblehead-esque display with Shawn Michaels. So I'm gonna open this real quick.
Oh god.
And that's not even the weirdest item. That's not even.
Oh my god, dude.
What?
So let me unbox this real
What the
quick.
hell?
Unfortunately, it's styrofoam.
Please tell me it plays Sexy Boy.
So, I wish it did. And that's the only
Well, you said it's
negative
electronic.
piece.
What does it do? Does it like say some? Does it say
No,
a couple of his catchphrases or something?
No, it lights up, and you're about to
okay.
see that in a second here.
Lights up.
So, I apologize for it not unboxing as sexy as I would have liked. It's styrofoam, and I'm trying to prevent the styrofoam from going everywhere, which it
Yeah,
basically
that could
just
be
did.
a mess. That could be a
Okay.
mess.
So, when you get it officially from WWE,
Mm-hmm.
it does not come put together, but it's pretty simple to put together. So essentially, they have a screw on his foot.
Yep.
So take that off. Takes a minute to remove. I hope I don't lose it. It's very small.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that. Well, it's fun
Well,
size,
after
right? Like you say.
Yeah, after this unboxing,
You're
I'm not
going
going
to
to put it back in the box. I'm going to
Okay.
permanently display
There
it.
you go. And what is it? Plastic or is it like plastic?
No.
Or?
No, it
Porcelain?
is. This is made out of like
Metal.
Funko Pop material, I'd
Oh,
say.
okay. All right. So it's like a plastic.
But it's heavier duty plastic than like your traditional action figure.
So you're saying it's not?
I think it's
hollow.
resin.
Okay.
It might be resin.
Okay.
You know, that typical resin.
Yep.
So let me put this back on here. So you see me, I'm screwing to the base.
Okay. So that little.
So what that does
the
is-
screw like comes through, and then you can screw it to the bottom. Got it.
Yeah, so that makes sure he's permanently attached.
And then the base, it kind of goes in so that the screw doesn't. You could like sit it flat on a surface.
Yes.
The screw doesn't poke out and like make it uneven.
No, I'm just struggling a little bit to thread it. I got it on there now. It's just it's a long screw. So
Yeah,
it
I
takes
know
a minute.
it's a struggle with
to
the long
tighten it.
ones. I got you.
Yes. So I would say it's very good quality
Yeah.
in terms of construction. There's a button at the bottom.
Okay.
So what the button does,
Lights up the Titantron.
if you can see it,
I see it.
it lights up the Titantron, and the button has different modes.
What?
So it might be hard to see with the glare, but the lights
Yeah, it
at
looks
the
like
base,
the lights in the front are coming on and off a little
they
bit.
flash at different
Okay.
intervals.
So
based
kind of
on,
almost works like a Christmas tree ornament in that respect.
I would say that, yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Even the back lights up too.
Interesting. Huh. that's pretty cool.
And then to turn it off, I have to keep pressing it a certain amount of times.
Or just take the battery out.
You see how it's really flashing there?
Yeah, that's like the entrance.
Yeah.
Cool.
And now it's off. So
I would
that's
say that's a unique item. I've never seen that before.
It's unique.
Yeah.
Now, I can't promise this will be in every version of the toy chest, but I do want to get stuff that is absolutely absurd, right? Okay. So I try to go for the cool factor, the unique factor, and there's a third category of completely absurd.
Okay.
And you have no idea I got this.
Okay.
And I did get off of I got it off of WWE Shop.
What are we talking about here?
You're about to find out. I'm unboxing it.
Oh God.
I've unboxed it before.
I get worried when you have a surprise.
And there's no real picture on the box to tell you what it is.
Oh, I think I saw a little bit of a picture though. I think I might have saw it. Oh God. Oh God.
And it does make a noise.
Oh no.
Can
Hopefully
you hear
it's
it?
broke. Is it broke? No, God. Okay, it
And
worked.
it's Alexa Bliss.
Oh no.
Jack in the Box.
Oh, God. That is kind of unique though. I wonder if they made
It's
other
absurd.
Jack in the Box things. I wonder if they had like a Bray Wyatt one.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, the Alexa Bliss one. I think it was worked into the storyline. That's actually that's interesting.
And there's no battery. It's just mechanical.
Oh yeah, that's how the Jack in the Box works. It's just a little
Yeah,
spring.
Can you hear it through the mic? The
No.
sound?
No. Oh, I heard a little bit for like a second.
It's not very loud.
There it goes. We hear it a little bit. The mic's probably like trying not to pick it up because it's not an actual voice.
Voice. Yeah.
That is an interesting piece of the collection there.
It is a little bit complicated to fit back in.
Well, yeah, that's what she said also. That's always how Jack in the Box toys are. I used to have one when I was a kid. Not that specific one. Mine always had like a goofy, scary clown on it.
And ironically, it wasn't even that expensive.
Yeah, really?
So that's what I have for this episode of the Toy Chest.
All right. Well, you had the Jack in the Box, you had the mini built, and you had the Shawn Michaels bobble. Was it a bobblehead? Does the head bobble? That's one thing we didn't see. Oh, it's bobbling. It's bobbling. Okay. It is a bobblehead. Nice.
Yes.
All right.
So I would say that I will take suggestions from the audience on what they think that I should try to get. I would say that I do try to keep a relatively
yeah, you don't want to spend like $1 million
normal budget. Yeah, I'm not spending thousands of dollars
Vince
to
McMahon's
acquire
ass hair or something.
yeah. This is not about the show that WWE used to have about the rare collectibles that they were trying to buy
You want
back.
unique items.
Yes,
unique
items that people don't think about, and they could be absolutely dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Well, I gave you some suggestions, but the thing is, a lot of stuff I'm coming up with is like very, very hard to find, or maybe just too ridiculous. Like the old.
Oh, there's no such thing as too ridiculous.
The old WWF like cologne and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Steve Duritis in a YouTube chat says, "What's expensive to you, Mr. Chonksy?"
Oh, well, if it's who I think that is, that is somebody I know personally.
And somebody named I'm Just Saying says Vince McMahon's Cleopatra egg. That egg, remember? The egg?
Yes. Is that the one Austin Theory had to protect?
Yeah.
Is that the one he's talking
give me
about?
my egg. it was some promotion with some movie or something like that.
I thought there was the one thing that Austin Theory had to protect. Or was that not the same one?
Yeah, but that was part of. It was like a movie promotion.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It was one of the Rock's movies actually, and like they had that stupid egg that Vince McMahon.
I gotta find that. My budget, I'm not trying to throw an exact dollar amount, but about $100 every so often.
Listen, if it's something ridiculous enough, I'll even throw in some money towards it. If it's something like if we found just something totally ridiculous that we had to have on the show, I would even put money towards it.
I mean, I actually own some other items that you can't see right now on the podcast.
Don't ruin any surprises. Don't ruin any surprises.
They could make their debut on this segment at some point in the future.
But yeah, we're gonna try to have this segment at the very least once a month, maybe twice a month. It's not gonna be a weekly thing though. We got other segments, other surprises too. But Mr. Chong's toy chest will be a regular thing at least once a month on Unexpected Wrestling. I think it was good for a debut, though. A good debut for Mr. Chong's toy
You did
chest.
not expect the Alexa Bliss thing.
No, that was a
You were
surprise.
trying to give me suggestions for weeks.
That was
and
a
I had
surprise.
this planned for a couple of weeks now.
Surprise. So I guess we need to get into the SmackDown recap. Now, this was 3 hours, unless I'm wrong about this too.
Oh, that was 3 hours.
This was 3 hours.
Because that was officially in the new year. That was after 1/1.
Yes. This was 3 hours. My biggest takeaway that I need to get into right away, Tiffany Stratton cashes in and wins the WWE Women's Championship. Long time coming. It surprised me to an extent. I had a feeling that when
A little celebration music.
The Fandango, really, dude? Come on now. So, I knew when she would cash in that she would win the belt. I was very confident in that. I was not confident that she was going to do it on the first episode of 2025 of SmackDown. That surprised me a bit. I was very happy about that. I'm a big Tiffany Stratton fan, very much into her, the whole character. I'm very much into her athleticism. I think that she is going to be a top star in 2025. I'm hoping she has a featured match on WrestleMania this year. I can't be any more happy. I'm really going to hope for a Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton match, WrestleMania. That's what I want to happen. I want that match to happen, I hope. So let's just run through this really, really quick. There were other things that happened on this SmackDown. We started out with a segment with Cody Rhodes that got interrupted by Drew McIntyre. Pretty much Cody is set for a ladder match at the Royal Rumble against Kevin Owens. Kind of surprising he's not scheduled for anything on Raw. Although if you look at the Raw on Netflix, the first episode page, he is advertised to be on the show. But I don't think he's going to be having a match, I would say.
I have suspicion about what they're going to build towards.
Also,
don't know how accurate it is.
Steve Deratis in chat says, Ed's toy chest is really big. Would you say you're chunky, Mr. Chunk?
Yeah, I would say that, yes.
Okay.
Let's just say I'm a size queen.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So, yeah, we started out with Cody Rhodes, got interrupted by Drew McIntyre. Not really sure where Drew McIntyre is fitting into this here. But I guess Cody does have a connection to the Bloodline since he did help them out. Steve Deratis says, I heard the Bloodline is going to be rebranded with Mona. Mona as in The Rock? I wouldn't call
maybe
that
he means Moana. Yeah, Moana, I don't know about that.
The Rock kind of has extended connections with the Bloodline. And I think maybe we'll see more of that on Monday. Tomorrow, actually. So Drew McIntyre interrupts. Drew McIntyre says Cody is about to make the biggest mistake of his career by having that match with Kevin Owens and offers to help him. Cody refuses to help, and then Kevin Owens proceeds to attack Cody from behind as Drew leaves the ring. The whole thing with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, I like how the storyline's going. I like what they're doing with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens has kind of been one of those in-between guys. He kind of has stuff going on, and then all of a sudden he won't. Right now, he seems to be in like a major story with Cody. I like where it's going. Do I think he's going to win the title? No, unfortunately, I don't.
No, I don't.
Fantasy booking a little bit. I think in the future, Kevin Owens is going to have a great match with somebody like CM Punk. I think CM Punk and Kevin Owens would have a really, really cool feud. But I think what's happening here with Kevin Owens and Cody, I think it's going to lead into Randy Orton. I think Orton's going to seek his revenge on Kevin Owens, maybe cost him the match at Royal Rumble, and possibly them two will have a match at WrestleMania. I think that might be the direction we're going here.
It'd be interesting to see a Swerve and Randy Orton not do that and do the exact opposite.
Go after Cody. I think there's some money in a Cody Randy Orton match. I don't know if this is the time for it though. I think down the line, I think with WrestleMania season coming up, I think Cody, in my opinion, he should be locked in with John Cena.
I was just going to say that. I think that's where they're going.
41, we need Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. This is the last opportunity we're going to get to have that match on a big stage.
And I think that's what you're going to see Monday. I think you're going to see a stare down, a friendly stare down between the two.
I don't know.
Like a little hint, you know,
maybe.
Not like a,
it's
not that there's going to be heat, but they're going to
Yeah.
pass each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's going to set the seed.
Like, I mean, I'll get into that a little bit here. Save that a little bit for the next segment with our predictions. But I think Cena coming on Raw tomorrow night, I think he's going to announce that he's going to be in the Rumble.
Royal Rumble, yeah,
And
I
think
agree with
that's
that.
kind of what it's going to be. And maybe we'll get something where he bumps into Cody. But I don't think they're going to really push for that right now. But we'll see what happens if if Cena ends up winning the Rumble and then Cody has the belt still, saying that he retains it against Kevin Owens. So we also had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Andrade.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was boring.
You didn't like the match? I'm kind of interested in the new Shinsuke character.
You know what though? I actually got a phone call from Shredder from the Ninja Turtles, and he wants his costume back from Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, well, maybe Bebop and Rocksteady can get it back for him. Or should I say Otis and Braun Strowman. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I like where the Shinsuke character is going. For some reason, I just haven't really been in the Andrade matches, and then you had the LA Knight interference. I'm not big in the LA Knight either. So it's kind of like, that was more of like a popcorn match for me. That was the one where, like, if I needed to use the restroom, I'd go and use the restroom for that. We also had Michin versus Piper Niven with, of course, Chelsea Green on the outside, giving us some entertainment there. Kind of a throwaway match. Obviously, somebody really likes Michin, Mia Yim in WWE. They keep on giving her featured matches.
Let's her twerk in the mid-match.
I don't call that a twerk, dude. That's
what was that?
I don't know. Maybe she needed to pull,
twerk.
She had to pull something out of her ass or something. That was not a twerk. You got to have some like jiggle there to twerk. And
well, she was trying something and it didn't make any sense.
I think she was trying to dry heave or something. I don't know. I mean, Chelsea kind of stole the show for me there. Like, that's all I really paid attention to was her antics outside of the ring. I could really care less of what was going inside of the ring.
I'm really behind Chelsea Green.
Yes.
I'm going to nitpick one little thing. I think she needs to put on a little bit of muscle. I think she looks, like, not intimidating, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get behind her character. I think her character's a little fresh, right?
Yeah.
But I would say that, like, when it comes to the in-ring side of her, she can perform, but, like, if I put her in the ring with Nia Jax...
I guess what you're saying is she's not very intimidating.
Yes.
And unfortunately, like, her character wasn't meant to be intimidating, but now that she's a champion...
you expect something out of her, be like, hey, if I saw her in a bar, I'd be scared she'd beat the shit out of me, you know?
By the way, Steven YouTube chat says the only thing shredded is your toilet paper.
If only I had the dirty Dominic toilet paper.
Oh, yes, that is one thing you should have got there. But I do agree with what you're saying. Like, her character was supposed to be like a Karen and complaining the whole time. Now that she won a title, you want to see her be a little more intimidating in the ring instead of the
just
coward.
a little bit, physically speaking.
Yeah.
The character is spot
But
on.
honestly, I think
the character's
Piper
good.
Niven was supposed to be her intimidator, to a sense.
That's good up until she has the title.
Yeah, now she has a title.
It's a title holder. She needs to be independent.
Yes, I totally
she needs to break
agree.
away from Piper Niven at some point, in my opinion.
At some point, I think we'll get there. We had a WWE Tag Team Championship match with DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, and kind of it was a wash though because it ended in a no contest because we had like everybody under the sun interfering into the match. Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of tag team wrestling. So this wasn't really up my alley. I kind of dig the Motor City Machine Guns. I'm not into DIY that much. Never have.
Well, I wasn't. I actually am now.
Mm-hmm.
I think by them going heel suited them way better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of
original.
I'm on a wait and see kind of thing with their heel turn. It's just there was too much goofiness before this. So they kind of got to get that goofiness out of my head for me to take them seriously as like a heel tag team. So we're going to see what happens there. And then we had the WWE Women's Championship match. Nia Jax defeating Naomi. Now, I've been kind of vocal about my opinions of Naomi. My thing with her is I think she's a great athlete, but I feel like she's stuck in 2013. With the fist pumping, with the glow, she has not evolved as a character at all. And
I agree.
It's been frustrating to me that she just continues to get title opportunities. And I just do not see the return on that. I don't see fans in the audience wearing Naomi merch. I don't see fans in the audience holding up Naomi signs. I see fans react when her entrance happens because it's a light show. It's different. So fans are like, oh, cool, look, flashy lights, whatever. And then, of course, they're going to fist bump because fans like to participate in entrances. They like to be part of the show. I almost feel like they kind of shove Naomi down our throats a little bit. And I don't agree with that. I don't think we should ever be forced somebody other than John Cena. And I had complaints about John Cena back in the day that they were forcing him down our throats.
Even Roman Reigns, the big dog character, they were doing that for a while.
And I understand
and the fans responded in kind.
Yeah. I understand why they did things like that with John Cena and Roman Reigns. But Naomi, where's the return? Like, why is she constantly getting title opportunities and always failing every single one of them? Every single time. I can't even tell you how many times she's had either number one contender matches with Tiffany Stratton or just regular singles matches. Like, why are we seeing her face the same people every single time?
That means they need to start building up other women talent on
should.
SmackDown.
The one light at the end of the tunnel I'm seeing with Naomi, though, is I think we're on the break of a heel turn with her, in which I think might like rejuvenate her career a little bit. I think that if she had a heel turn, I think that could turn my opinion around really fast.
It's funny you mention that because I think I also see that in Bianca Belair.
Yes, it's potential.
If you've noticed, she's been wearing different outfits, not her traditional outfits recently.
Yes.
Her hair was different.
Yes.
And I'll tell you this, that's WWE's sign of character change.
Maybe.
That's usually a premonition of they're undergoing a character change.
They have to reveal somebody attacked Jade Cargill.
And I think it's either Bianca
you have two culprits
and or Naomi. It could have been both.
It's got to be. If it is, maybe they'll both turn.
Yeah.
You never know. They could be like a heel tag team.
And I'm okay with that. It's different. It's fresh.
I think if we saw a singles turn, though, if we saw Naomi turn, it opens the door for a match with Bianca Belair. It opens the door for Jade Cargill.
Yep.
It gets her out of this constant flow with Tiffany Stratton, Michin.
Yeah.
Like Michin's another one that they just keep on spreading her between like 3 different people. She's either having matches with Chelsea, Piper. She had a couple with Tiffany. Like they continue, and like it's not leading to anything at all. And that's my whole complaint with Naomi. Like she constantly gets title opportunities, either actual title matches or number 1 contender matches. She loses every time. And it just seems like she's just in a cycle constantly of never winning the big one and rinse and repeat all over again.
Yeah.
And then you throw
agree.
Bailey in the mix and you're just in this never-ending cycle of boring matches that make no sense. So you had Nia Jax versus Naomi with the title on the line, and to be honest with you, it was a great match. One of the best that I've seen Nia Jax do since her return. And Nia Jax has kind of been hit or miss with her return. She has been excellent in some spots, and then she kind of dropped the ball in a couple other ones. But she's levels above what she was before. I'll say that, before she came back.
I only have one complaint with the match. It's not the match's fault.
Yeah.
Should have main evented the show.
Yes. The WWE has this obsession with having the bloodline in the main event. I totally agree. This should have ended the show. Yeah. Would have ended with a great cliffhanger.
Oh, I don't think it's the bloodline in the main event. I think they have an obsession with Jey Uso and the Yeet.
Jey Uso, yeah.
I think that's really what it is.
Yeah, because Roman wasn't even involved.
No, it's the Yeet. Like, they think the Yeet is like the biggest thing since sliced bread, and that basically
it's selling merch. It's selling merch.
Yeah,
it's their merch seller.
My only problem with the Yeet is that it's gonna fizzle. It will not last forever.
No,
it's going to have an expiration date.
Absolutely.
Quicker than the rest of the bloodline. Quicker than Tiffany. Right? It's by WrestleMania, people will be yeeted out.
Yes, yeah, they'll be yeeted out.
It'll still be a catchphrase. It'll still be used. I'm not saying it'll be going away, but it won't have the power that it has right now.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree with you. Before we move on from that match, though, the interesting thing that happened was Tiffany Stratton ended up coming in and cashing in her Money in the Bank briefcase, and they actually did like kind of a swerve. They teased it. And then it looked like she was still going to help Nia regardless. And then they had her do the turn completely. And pretty much what ended up happening was she smacked Nia with the briefcase in the back while Nia was about to do the Banzai drop onto Naomi again. Or no, she was about to do the Banzai drop onto Bianca. Smacked her in the back, which incapacitated her on the ropes. Bianca got up, did her... what the hell's the move called where she gets on the shoulders?
Kiss of Death.
I don't know.
That's what it's called.
What's
it's
it called?
The Kiss of Death. Kiss of Death.
Okay.
Yes.
Kiss of Death. And pretty much she grabs Bianca when she lands the move, throws her out of the ring, throws her over the announce table, gets her incapacitated, and then she does the prettiest moonsault ever. 1, 2, 3, gets the title. Fans go nuts. This is probably the loudest pop I've heard for Tiffany since her debut on the main roster. Pretty big moment. I agree. Should have been the main event of the show. And I hope that they have some long-term plans for her with the title. I would love to see her in a feature match at WrestleMania. I'm praying that it's with Charlotte. Obviously, they're going to have to work something with her and Nia now. So maybe that will be her next feud coming up, her and Nia Jax. I'm sure that they're going to put on some great matches, so I'll be looking.
They allowed a headshot. Did you notice that? She used a headshot. Was it Naomi with the briefcase?
Yeah.
In the corner. I was surprised. Usually they don't.
They don't really. I think a big one is they don't want to do chairs to the head. Something like that. I guess maybe they can get away with. And then the main event, the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tamatongo versus the OG Bloodline, Sami Zayn, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso. Jimmy Uso, I thought he was injured, so I was surprised to see him back so fast. And that ended with a pinfall with a Samoa Spike from Sikoa on Jey Uso. They've really promoted that the Samoan Spike as a devastating move. We've had Cena sell it as a devastating move. We've had Roman lose to it. So obviously they have big plans for Solo Sikoa. The match itself, though, I kind of had a little bit of disinterest in it. I'm kind of over the bloodline thing going on, especially when you don't have Roman involved. We do have Roman versus Solo Sikoa for the actual rights to the bloodline coming up tomorrow night. And I think we're going to see some real action coming with the bloodline with The Rock coming in, hopefully. I know he's scheduled to be on Raw tomorrow. It'd be a natural fit for him to get involved in the bloodline storyline again, since he's a major factor in it, even though he's not around that much. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen there. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, one other observation is, you know, they allowed it 35 minutes for that match. The match.
I noticed that they did have a long time for it.
Yes. So not that the bell rung, but they advertised the beginning of the match at 9:25.
Yep.
I'm sorry, 10:25. 10:25 because it was 3 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, obviously they do the little promo backstage while everybody's walking to the ring, and then they enter through the crowd, and then obviously Jey Uso's yeeting the whole time. And that was 10 to 15 minutes of just entrances.
Jesus.
Like a pay-per-view. It was a pay-per-view style.
Sometimes
the bell didn't ring
how long those
until like
are
10:40.
Yeah.
It didn't ring till like 10:40, I think.
They had to fit 3 hours in, so I guess they did that.
It was really drawn out.
Yeah. So that is everything that happened on SmackDown. I thought it was a good show, mainly because of Tiffany Stratton winning the title. I think it was a good show to start their 3-hour time slot. So kudos to them for putting on a decent show there. And now let's get into some predictions on what we see happening this coming week here. Mainly with Raw on Netflix. That's going to be the big one this week, which is happening tomorrow at 8 p.m. Netflix. We're going to have WWE Raw. The lineup looks like this. The announced matches, we have Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa in a tribal combat match for the Ulafala, which is the little neck thing that they have for the bloodline. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, which I think they did clarify is the main event tomorrow night. And then also advertises John Cena kicking off his farewell tour, which I assume is just going to be an in-ring segment of him probably declaring.
You don't think he'll have a match at all tomorrow?
Well, maybe. If
like an open challenge?
Yeah, they'll have to announce it during the show. I wouldn't be surprised if he got physical in some capacity. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. I personally would like to see Rhea win the belt back. I don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow night. I don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow. How Liv retains, I'm not sure. And I guess that's a good thing. You don't want things to be too predictable. But I'd like to see Rhea win. It wouldn't shock me if she won, but it also wouldn't shock me if she lost. To be completely honest with you. Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. That's probably the one match of the night that I'm kind of disinterested in, to be honest with you. I don't know why, because Drew McIntyre is great. Jey Uso, he's been on a hot streak lately. I guess maybe that's a little too predictable for me, because I don't see Drew losing. I see Drew kind of steamrolling through that match, likely the same way that he
Any
did
shenanigans in it, or straight up a win fair and
Sami
square?
Zayn maybe interfering for Jey Uso. I could see that. Or what would be interesting is maybe a Sami Zayn heel turn. But I don't see that happening, unfortunately.
I would love to see it. I was thinking that a couple days ago. I'm like, I would love to eventually see Sami turn on all of them.
I think there's some money in a Sami Zayn Jey Uso match.
Yeah.
Like a legit one. Maybe we'll see that down the line. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. This is a different one for me. Something tells me The Rock is going to do something. in this regarding this match. I think at the end of the day, because they've also mentioned that Paul Heyman will be involved because he'll actually be holding the Ulafala while this match is happening. Something tells me that The Rock is going to be the one leaving with the Ulafala tomorrow.
Yes, I have to agree with that.
Now, does that mean Roman wins? I don't know. Does that mean Solo wins? I don't know. But I think The Rock it will be the one leaving with the Ulafala, possibly with Heyman by his side. Or
that would be an interesting turn of events.
Or maybe Heyman reluctantly gives it to him for some reason.
Yeah.
I can almost firmly believe that The Rock will take on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, though.
I have to agree. I think.
I know that there's a lot of reports that The Rock's not scheduled to be at WrestleMania. I don't buy into that bullshit. I think he will be there. And he will be main eventing one of the nights.
Yeah,
if the Rock's there, it's guaranteed he's the main event. I'm sorry for anybody that offends, but that's just how it's going to have to be. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. This one's going to be interesting. It's hard to say who should win this, and I have a theory on how this is going to play out. What are your thoughts on this match first? Who do you think will be winning this?
I don't think either one wins clean. They're shenanigans, no matter what.
By the way, I think Steve Deritis, he did say shenanigans again. Thank you.
I'm going to defer to you because I know your secret prediction.
Okay.
And I think it trumps whatever I have to say.
Here's my prediction at just by me paying attention to what has been going on the programming lately. My prediction is this. I think that they're going to have a stellar match. And then at the very end, none other than Becky Lynch will interfere to help her husband, Seth Rollins, get the cheap victory. I think the seeds have been planted during that promo with Punk bringing up how she left, and then Seth also bringing up that she went to take care of their kid, and he also brought up that Punk can't have kids, and all kinds of stuff going on, very personal. I think that was planting the seeds for Becky Lynch's return, which in turn will, I think, it's hard to say because Seth is a fan favorite, but I think if Becky Lynch helped him get a cheap victory, I think the fans would turn on them a little bit. Maybe not all of them, but I think a lot of them will. And I think
he's due for a heel turn. I think he's due for one.
So I think, like Seth Rollins, CM Punk, the fans are going to be split. But I think if Seth takes a cheap way for a victory, some fans will turn on him there. And I think long-term planning that we see Becky Lynch help Seth Rollins out. Maybe they become a power duo on Raw. And then I think at the Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch is in the Royal Rumble and gets stopped by AJ Lee. I think AJ Lee will be a surprise entrant. She gets stopped by AJ Lee, which will create some friction between Seth, Punk, AJ Lee, and Becky Lynch, leading into WrestleMania in a mixed tag match between CM Punk and Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. I think that's where they're going. Unfortunately, I don't see that main eventing one of the nights, though, because you got John Cena involved in WrestleMania. You got Roman Reigns. You got The Rock. You got Cody Rhodes. So, unfortunately, I still don't think CM Punk will get that main event that he desperately wants. But I think that mixed tag match has WrestleMania written all over it. It sounds like a great match, a great feature match for everybody involved there. Becky, Seth, AJ Lee. People would be very excited to see AJ Lee back, even if it's just on a part-time basis. Of CM Punk, it would be a great featured match for all of them. That's just my prediction. WWE, like, I've been wrong many times before with my predictions. But if I was a booker and I was able to make that happen, if AJ Lee was willing to work a match, that's how I would book that. Get her in the ring with the absolute best in the women's division. Becky, well, arguably, I think Tiffany Stratton might have a little bit more on her there, or Charlotte Flair. But Becky Lynch is one of the tippy top tier of the women's division. I think that would be the way to go there. And yeah, that's the main event of Raw tomorrow night. So they've said that publicly on the shows, so I don't think we have to debate on what the main event would be there. But I'm really, really looking forward to that show. I think it's going to be very entertaining. I'm interested to see what all they have planned. I'm sure there'll be some surprises. I know that they themselves have a new theme song for Raw, so maybe I'll have to send Triple H an email and see what his thoughts on what different Raw intros they might have. We'll have to see. So yeah, that's our predictions for Raw, and yeah, next week should be interesting with Netflix, and 3 hours on Netflix, 3 hours on SmackDown, 2 hours on Dynamite with the Scissor Sisters, and yeah, it should be a great week of wrestling next week. Looking forward to watching it all. How about you?
Absolutely.
And I think that's going to be it. I think that is going to close out our first episode of Unexpected Wrestling Podcast. How do you think we did there, Mr. Chunk?
I think we did fantabulous.
Yeah, fantabulous. Okay, you're starting to talk like Lizzo a little bit there. You're just making up some words here.
Yeah.
And Steve Deritis, I think, called you the Nature Boy. So, not sure. Maybe because you did the woo, I guess. But yeah, guys, next week we will be back at 7 p.m. on Sunday. And we'll have our review of Raw on Netflix. We'll review all the content. We'll have some more shenanigans planned for you. Yeah. And
I can promise you we will not have a male review, because that's something a little different.
What?
Nothing.
Dude, do you want to do a segment where you're reviewing OnlyFans accounts or something? Is that
no, if you don't know what a male review is, I can't help you. You'll have to look that up afterwards.
Maybe I will. Maybe I shouldn't look it up. How about that? Anyways, guys, thanks to everybody that was hanging out. I see some new people in the chats. I'm seeing some of my normal people. I appreciate you guys for coming in, checking us out. Hopefully we entertained you. I know some of you aren't totally into wrestling as much, so thank you again for coming in and supporting us. We really do appreciate it. We'll be back at 7 p.m. next week with some more fun and some new segments. So expect the unexpected with all that. And until then, guys, thank you so much.